Hi, this is Pete Gooding from Ibiza, musical director at Hostel La Torre, and you are listening to the Liverpool Connection Podcast.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Liverpool Connection Podcast. This is my football and music episode where I bring on a musician to talk about footy and music. And all the way from Liverpool, I've got John Witherspoon, who is a singer-songwriter, and we're going to get into his background, his musical roots and influences. But we're going to talk about Liverpool Football Club first. I mean, why not? They're the best team on the planet. You know, they've had their up and downs during the years, but you know, we've kind of had a really good 9 years. You know, with Jurgen. Not as many as trophies as I would have liked, but you know, that's thanks to Man City. You know, cooking the books, as we all know. John, welcome to the pod, mate. It's great to have you.
Thanks, Daz. My pleasure.
So let's go back a bit, as I always like to. You know, I know you were born in Manchester, but raised in Liverpool, which is great because I've had a few that were born in Liverpool and raised in Manchester, and they're Man United fans. So you're the opposite, which is great because it's a little, you know, stick in them. I love it. Any time I get to have a go at United, I will. But
I said that to me, mate. I saw the when it flashed up, 0-3 Spurs and Fernandes sent off. I said to me, mate, it still makes the heart sing, even when the game is nothing to do with us and they've been beaten. It's sad in a way because you don't want to be like the bitter club that can't let go of the past. You know, we know who I'm referring to. But yeah, that's how I feel with United. It still gives me a lot of joy when they slip up, and it's happening frequently.
Yeah, well, I mean, it happens. You know, they were up 2-0 and 3-3, and good old captain Bruno got sent off again. I have to say, I'm just like you. I don't want to be that one that, you know, blah 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 about them, but you know, kick them when they're down.
Yeah.
Like I honestly, I think he's the worst Man United captain in a very long time. Like he rolls on the floor, he cries like a baby, he gives up too easily. I wouldn't want a captain like that for us.
Oh, absolutely. And I remember him at Anfield a couple of years back throwing the arms. Like, so yeah, when they're at their worst, he's just, it's not me, it's you lot, isn't it? You know, he's the absolute opposite of what a captain's supposed to be doing. Yeah.
And then Maguire, you know, former captain, comes on and pretty much saves Ten Hag's job. That made me laugh. I'm just like, you know, they stripped him at the captaincy and he comes on and scores. I just find that funny. So how does a lad from, you know, born in Manchester come to Liverpool?
Well, I was going to say I'm even more of a hybrid than that. So yeah, my mum's from Manchester. She was actually a United season ticket holder for a long time with my uncle. I should have said that before you got too personal. And my dad's a Scouser. Grew up literally near Penny Lane, Calton Avenue off Allerton Road. And he's a big red, obviously. And when I was a baby, we moved to the Wirral. So I grew up in Wallasey, New Brighton. And which was great. I had a lovely childhood and stuff. And I guess when I got to my mid-20s and properly moved out, I've been over here since now for 10, 12 years. And I'm in Egbert now. I'm happier than ever with where I'm living because I'm right on the Otterspool prom, which feels like coming home. Only I'm on the other side now. So I'm on the promenade at most days, you know.
Yeah, that's nice. I mean, the views, like just the smell of sea salt in the air. That's what I miss big time. You know, I'm over in Austin, Texas, and it's just hot. You
Is
know,
it?
yeah, constantly. I mean, everyone like around here just wears flip flops, and then when it gets cold, they wear a jacket with flip flops.
Yeah, yeah.
It's so bizarre.
I wouldn't know from the cracking Scouse clobber you've got on and dotted around that room.
Oh yeah, I mean, I always say this, that I'm a collector, so like 95% I don't wear. I just collect them. It just stems from, you know, me mum and dad not giving me enough pocket money when I was younger, and then on my first YTS scheme, my first check, I bought a pair of Adidas kick and never looked back.
Really, yeah.
Yeah.
So how long you been in Texas?
Oh man, 20 plus years now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I love it over there. It's great. You know, met me missus, got me kiddos, and you know, there's a lot of expats over there, so kind of keep me sane. You know, and it's a great. They call Austin the music capital of the world, which I have to laugh at. You know, because it's not, but I get where they're coming from. You know, Willie Nelson and a lot of like the country bands, blues. Stevie Ray Vaughan is from here. I'm actually going every year. They have it's called the ACL Festival, and it's 2 weekends, and it's just mental. You know, 100,000 people, and then during March, I don't know if you've heard about it, John. South by Southwest.
Oh yeah.
That's another big like week-long musical thing. But yeah, I mean it's
yeah.
great.
I've got a few pals who've been and played South by Clean Cut Kid a few years ago.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. It's good for upcoming, you know, bands that want to get out there. But it's a graft because you're playing 5-6 gigs, and you know you could be playing 3 gigs in one day. You know, you could be playing on the street one day in a pub, and then you know, main stage. So yeah, it's good. You know, that's I surround myself with a lot of music, but you know, for Liverpool, for you, you know, like you said, your dad's massive Red. When did he take you to your first match?
It was sometime in the 93-94 season. So I would have been 6 going on 7, and I completely didn't appreciate it or get it that season. I wasn't into it, and I've got vague memories. Of being bunked in. Believe it or not, my dad used to, going through the turnstile then, I was so like little, they'd turn a blind eye then to him just pushing me through with him. And I'd sit between him and my granddad, just sort of on their lap. So he'd get me in for free. I mean, that didn't last long, but it's amazing, really, that even in the 90s, fellas could just get away with that. But so that season, I can remember roughly, very vaguely, obviously, the last day of the Cop that season was, and Norwich beat us. And I can just about remember that was a cracking goal they scored at the Cop end to spoil the party, 1-0. But like I say, no interest in footy at all. And what changed was the USA 94 that summer, World Cup. And we actually went on a family holiday to the States. I think we were in, I know we spent some time in Boston, Massachusetts. We had some family there. I think we moved around a bit, but I can't remember. Obviously I was little. But they'd have the World, my dad and my older brother would have the World Cup on the telly where we were staying. And my older brother, for some reason, was really into Italy. They had Roberto Baggio and Dino Baggio, and I thought like, they were like cool names, you know. And I remember the shootout in the final with Brazil, Italy-Brazil, and I've got a really good memory of this. Sounds weird. It's like, it's true. I remember very well. My brother said, Roberto Baggio stepped up, and my brother said, he's going to miss. He's carrying a bit of a knock from the game. He's going to miss. And he did miss, and that was it. And I just remember the excitement and the drama of that shootout. Like, I loved penalties as a kid. It was just so exciting. And so then we come home, and my dad sort of gives me a little reminder of like, you know, we go the game, don't you? You know, we watch Liverpool. And And the first game I went to in 94, 95 was Fowler scoring the fastest hat-trick ever against Arsenal. So that was it then. I was like completely all in and the biggest Fowler fanatic, you know, for the next 2, 3, 4 years, as long as he stayed. And I completely got the bug, like a lot of lads. And all I wanted to do was play and watch footy. And I've lost a little bit of it now, but I noticed the other day, when I walk past like someone's lawn that's like well kept, any flat surface well kept, I look at and I go, could get a game going on that, you know. That's what reminds me, like it'll never leave you, you know. And I played a lot. I wasn't great, but I loved it from there. That was the beginning.
Yeah, I think when you go really young, because I was the same age, I was 6. I'm a lot older than you. My first one was 76. But you don't really watch the football. I was more people watching. You know, I was with my granddad, and kind of the same thing as well. You could get away with it more back then. Was just if you're smaller than the turnstile, get in, lad. And they kind of, you know, let a lot of kids in without paying, which was nice. Now there's no chance, you know. But I was going to ask you who your childhood hero is, but I think you've already answered it with Rugby.
Yeah, they all were though. I mean, I had Ruddock on the back of my shirt for some reason. Wow. yeah, and they all were, you know, McManaman, and I actually loved goalies. I loved David James, and I sent him a letter in school, and I got like a postcard back from like a Puma postcard that he'd signed and written, "Thanks for my picture." So that was a great day. So yeah, I loved them all really, but Fowler, and I still do love Fowler, watching those goals back. Like a lot of people say Jota's quite similar now, and I get it, but the sort of artistry that Fowler had and his range of finishing, and you know, I mean, I'm a nerd really when we talk about it, so I'm glad you got me on the show. But like, you know, like, so I don't know if you remember the Aston Villa goal 95, 96 at the Cop End. It's just the most beautiful, most beautiful shot still I think I've ever seen. You know, it just floats into the far corner, and so yeah, he was class, and I loved it when he came back many years later.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, not obviously not the same, but he's just such a natural finisher. You know, there's that obviously competition between, similarities between Owen and Fowler, but it was Fowler for me, 100%.
Yeah, weird the Owen thing though, isn't it? Something about him that I think it's not just the United move. There was something about him that I do sometimes think you could say we underappreciated him a little, considering just the sheer numbers.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the thing is with Owen, it's just the Real Madrid move for me.
Yeah, true.
Where he could have stayed at Liverpool and really like done well, and he went to Madrid and didn't do very well. And I think it's. I mean, my childhood hero was Keegan. I mean, but I only knew Keegan for a year, and I was heartbroken. I ripped up my poster. My granddad got pissed off. He stuck the poster back together. And he said, "Don't you ever do that again." You know, and taught me a lesson. Like, you know, I mean, but he was also like your heroes come and go, and then it was Barnes for me. But yeah, just Fowler, and it just his personality too. I mean, Owen to me has a personality of a cardboard box.
Yeah.
Fowler's much more. He's proper scouse, you know.
He is. Yeah.
And I don't think there will ever be. I mean, Suarez came close doing the dive in front of Moyes, but there will never be a better celebration than he did in front of the blue shite.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah. I was going to say, it was the humour, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Almost every goal celebration, there'd be a certain Scouse humour to him coming through. So yeah, I suppose Owen was never going to come close to being as one of us, with his strange Chester, North Wales accent.
Well, it's weird to like listen to, when Owen is a punter, and he just makes the most ridiculous things. Like, you've heard him just go, the winning team will probably score more goals than the other. It's like, wow, thanks, Michael. Thanks for that deep thought. Well, I'm really surprised that Robbie didn't get into it a lot more. I think he's tried his hand, obviously, at managing, and that's hit or miss really for him. But yeah, it was great for him to come back. It was kind of reminded me of Rush Part 2, when Rushy came back from Milan. And he still knocked in the goals, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, Rush did.
Well, I mean, Robbie was still.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. And I've got mates who are similar to me. Like big. We're obsessed with Fowler. A mate of mine says, is Leeds' records good? If you look back, and again, I remember him showing me some goals again, and they were still great goals. They were beautiful goals to watch. I suppose he sort of aged quickly, didn't he? That was his problem. A few injuries, and by about 24, he had a bit of timber on. But yeah,
he's not got rid of that either.
Well, I was going to say, when you mentioned management, he's done well for himself, so I don't think he needs to worry, I think, with his other interests. Yeah,
I mean, he's been to Australia and I think Singapore, is the other one. So yeah, you can defo tell he's not hurting in the pocket. That's why he put on some timber. So good for him.
I'm glad he's not a pundit, because they all do my head in, to be honest.
Yeah, it's just opinions, isn't it? That's the thing. Everyone has one, so that's really why I try and with the podcast. My mates do a lot of the preview and review shows. I try and stay away from it because just opinions to me are just, like I said, everyone has one, and if you say something, you can get lambasted quite quickly online or it. Well, I do the safe, nice story episodes because everyone has a story, and you can't really have opinions on somebody else's story, can you? I play it safe.
Yeah. I know what you mean. I mean, ultimately, when we're giving our opinions about the game, we're all just a bunch of divvies, aren't we? Really,
Yeah, of course.
I end up changing my mind on things. I remember being very anti-Lucas Leiva, for example. And I gave it a couple of years, and I remember trying to get on a phone in once. I was so angry, and a few years later, I just I loved him to bits. I loved how hard he worked, and I'm glad I became more positive in general. I think as a kid, I just liked moaning about footy as well, and now I try and be as positive as possible about it now, and that seemed to me, that was part of me becoming a Scouser, actually. I think was realizing that we weren't there to moan and to slag off managers and put too much pressure on the team. It's about loving them, really, no matter what.
Well, it doesn't get you anywhere slagging off the team every week. I mean, that's the thing with social media right now, is you can be a keyboard warrior and hide behind your keyboard and say whatever you want. But a lot, I call them fans, but they just can't be, because they slag off the team. As you brought up, like Lucas Grav last season was probably got the same abuse. Why did we go in for him? He's useless. And all it took was maybe a different manager to bring out the best of him, because he it's like night and day. I'm with you on Lucas as well, because when the first couple of years as well, I thought he was too lazy. I thought technically, but I think being Brazilian as well, he was the most un-Brazilian player I've ever seen in my entire life. And you were just like, well, you're not doing these flicks, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. But as you say, as you get older, you watch his work rate, and he 200%, he would put everything in for the team.
absolutely.
I was like, by the time he left, I was like, I loved the lad. You know, every interview he would do, he was always positive. And you need players like that. Some players that aren't going to play 90 minutes every single match. You know, you need squad players. Obviously, you've got people having a go at Curtis. You know, he's only in the squad because he's a Scouser. Is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
Like Jurgen Klopp would keep somebody in the squad because they're a Scouser. I laugh at that, and if you actually think that, then I don't know what to tell you.
I know, it's ludicrous, isn't it? Yeah.
They're in the squad for a reason, you know. We as fans, we don't see these players every day in training. The managers do, you know, and people just like to complain these days, you know.
Yeah, and there's this thing. Everybody, like you say, Gravenberch, you need time, and we are in a world where nobody wants to give anybody patience and time, really, do they? And the media side just increasingly does annoy me, because that's all it is they've had a stinker, so the manager must go, or he saved his job because they've won the next one, and neither of them, those things are true, you know. And everything is just so amplified, isn't it? And so there's a lot of pressure on them. Curtis, I think, it's probably the injuries in it, where you just think I'd love to see him get 20 or 25 league starts, you know, and see what kind of player we've got then in succession. Because I really hope it works out for him.
I think he's gifted. I do. I mean, these people saying he's championship level. Again, you know, before he had this run of injuries a couple of seasons ago, playing really, really well. I mean, that goal he scored against Everton was just pure class. But as you say, we're in the results business, and you know, if you draw a game, or especially if you lose a game, it's that heads fall off. Get him out the team, get rid of him, and you're just like, again, I'm older now. You know, I'm not the 16-year-old Darren that like throws the telly out the window, like wants to smash the place up. I'm more mature now. I still come out with some one-offs, but you know, you just appreciate watching the game now.
Yeah. And it's okay to lose one, like you're not going to go unbeaten. You know, you've got to lose one here and there. And I try and be philosophical, and I don't get very upset anymore. I don't get wound up anymore. You know, it's just a good place to be in.
It's not worth it, and I think for me, having kids watching with me, my kids kind of snap me out of it, because as soon as the game's done, it's like, Dad, let's go do something, or let's play. You know? So already life is not football. You know, football used to be way, way up here for me. Now football's, you know, I still love it, but you know, is it something I'll, you know, be crying about for a week anymore? No chance.
I think you've got to be even sillier when you lose. You've got to. When we were coming back from the cup final, when Cantona scored and we lost.
Oh yeah.
My dad sang on the train, like some stupid. He sang some old Shep. I can't even remember. I don't even know who that's by. It was obviously he'd had a few, and people, you know, it was funny. And I remember trying to always, like, I learned from that, where it's like you've probably got to be even sillier quite quickly when we've gone through when you lose a final. You best get yourself in a little bit of a silly mood instead, and just enjoy life.
Just have to snap yourself out of it, and then there's more in life than football. You know, even though Shankly said, you know, as we all know, like football is life and death, and you know, if you're not first, you're nothing. But that was the 60s and 70s. Times have changed.
And they don't owe us anything either, like you said before. You know, it's been a great 9 years, and we've certainly had a great history before then. So they don't really owe us they don't owe me anything. I'd love to see another league title because of the COVID thing. And I feel like that's a bit of the sort of elephant in the room that we don't like to talk about, is like, on paper, it's our best achievement ever, but nobody enjoyed that getting over the line moment. So I certainly didn't. I didn't go out. I didn't go to the ground or anything like that. I was just at home, and it's such a shame.
Did it? It just didn't feel real to me.
No, it didn't.
Yeah, I'm 3,000 miles out. You know, that I was coming home because we were 25 points clear. I just knew we were going to win the league, so I got everything sorted to come home, and then bam, you know, and then I had to watch it on the telly, and it just was like, there was no real emotion, and you know, it's tough because, you know, I've had ex-players on before, and I had John Achterberg on a couple weeks ago, and asked him about, you know, that. And he said the same thing. It was just bizarre, you know, to celebrate in a stadium with no fans.
They tried the best, didn't they? But so they don't owe me one, but I'd love to see it. I feel like I'm sort of hanging in for that moment to then say, they've done everything. I've seen them do everything, you know. And I was lucky to get to quite a few finals back in the Cardiff days. So ever since I started going with my dad, I've just been spoiled rotten, you know. I was so lucky to get to as many as I did, and obviously still getting the nod now here and there when I can go. So some amazing memories. You know, the Arsenal Cup final treble season, 2001 was unbelievable. So I was going to ask you, do you go out and watch them in clubs, supporters clubs over there, or?
Well, I mean, when I didn't have kids, I'd be down the pub like, you know, every match. I mean, massive support over there now. We've taken over Man United in US like ratings, but and not as much as I'd like. You know, I don't drink as much either. You know, again, you know, when I'm here, I'll roll out of bed because, you know, the early kickoffs are 6:30 a.m. here. So it's nice to just roll out of bed, go in the living room and turn on the telly. Just watch, you know, piece of toast, a nice cup of tea. You're good to go.
That's it. Mate. That keeps you well behaved.
But and you know, not so, you don't spend so much coin.
But I'm amazed when I hear about people going over there, how many different like supporters bars and clubs there are. You know, it really does sound like we are everywhere, Liverpool. You know, no matter where you go.
Well, they always say, like, wherever like city or country you visit, there's always a Scouser, and you can always pick them out. Like it's bizarre. You can always pick a Scouser out, and you know, if you're a Scouser as well, you kind of look at each other like, right?
Just something there, you know.
It's come so far. Like I said, you know, I've been over there a very long time, and it's nice to see how like the Austin group has grown from 6 people. When I first came, you know, 6-7 people, and now, you know, it's 2,500 people. I mean, in the match days, probably about 300-400, but that's, you know, that's times how many states? 50 states in the US, you know, and even if they're not official, they'll still have, you know, supporters, bars, pubs. But it's just grown so much. And then obviously, you know, the World Cup's going to be here, and Mexico and Canada. MLS, I still can't get into it. That's like League 2. Like, is it? And I always say MLS is where European and Premier League players go to die. It's their retirement fund, basically.
It's like a little taster for the Americans. It's like a little, you know, here's what it's kind of like, but not really. But I get it, and I get the Messi thing, and I guess that's helped just grow everyone's interest in that you've got the best there ever is now plying his trade.
And he's still doing well, you know. But I went to see Austin FC play LA when Bale was playing, and Bale was just walking around the pitch. Yeah, me and my mate were just laughing, going, he's laughing all the way to the bank.
Yeah,
and I think that's wrong. You know,
absolutely.
At least Messi's like still doing his stuff. But I want to ask you, you know, obviously you've been to finals. What's your favourite final you've been to?
It's got to be that FA Cup one I mentioned. I was also at the League Cup one the same season when we beat Birmingham in a shootout. But the Arsenal one, it's a glorious sunny day, and I guess I would have been 14. I was there with my dad, my older brother, and my granddad, all stood next to each other, and probably like all the best moments. It was the snatching it from the jaws of defeat thing in the best possible way. On it, we were second best all day. We should have given at least one penalty away and fallen 2 behind. And then to get for Owen to score twice the way he did. And I still remember that second one. You know, I remember we had a great spec and just the bedlam, like. I've got loads of good memories of goals going in and the crowd absolutely going off, but nothing like that one. It was just snatching the cup, you know, and just an amazing time. You know, every time we got there, we went and stayed in the same little hotel, and loads of my dad's mates from Wallasey came along, so it was like a big mob, you know. And again, it was probably just before it was before I was drinking, certainly, but I'd have the guitar with me even then. So we'd be, at night, I'd be singing for them all. So there was just these great trips. And every time we got to another final, it was like, let's do it again. Let's go and stay in the Green Acres Motel, you know. And but that's the top. I never went away in Europe. Never went to Istanbul or anywhere. But so it's that one, yeah.
Well, I mean, it's crazy to think too, because that Arsenal team were absolutely like fantastic. They really were. And, you know, on paper, you know, we shouldn't have beaten them.
No.
But that's the Liverpool way, isn't it?
Yeah.
We have beaten AC Milan in Istanbul. No, not a chance. But, you know, I think the supporters brought Liverpool back that night. Even though I have to say that's some of the worst officiating in a penalty shootout I have ever watched in my entire life. But guess what? I don't care. I mean, Dudek nearly stood next to the penalty takers.
I know.
That was a bit ridiculous. I mean, to this day and age, you can't get away with that. But back then, you're just like, what's going on? But he saved it, or, you know, they missed. I'm just going, I don't care. I don't care. We just won the European Cup against the AC Milan team that should have wiped the floor with us. Yeah,
that's still the maddest one. When I see reruns of it and you see those teams at the start, that's still the maddest one we ever will win, isn't it? Yeah, just not just to race into a 3-0 lead, but the sheer quality in the team, all experienced, all winners, for the head to go the way it did. One of those magical ones for sure.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk about the music now. And now, you know, you brought up playing guitar when you were 14. What were your musical roots like? I always like to ask, what were your mum and dad like listening to in the house growing up?
A lot of my first memories are in my dad's car. So I still think he's got great taste now. He's into a lot of, like, I guess maybe you call it post-punk, late 70s, like Costello, The Jam, Ian Dury. I was listening to Ian Dury yesterday, and like Madness. He loved Madness. And I think about these bands now where, like, they're almost jokey, you know, baggy trousers, and Ian Dury is very comedic, but the bands are unbelievable. Like the quality of musicianship, and so even though my stuff actually probably isn't informed by that when you listen to it at all, I've got great memories of that. And he was still cool enough to be listening to like the Britpop, some Britpop 90s stuff. So I remember like Blur, Park Life being on in the car. That was probably about when he stopped buying new music, my dad. About 94, 95, I think. So a lot of car memories, yeah. Like also Paul Simon, Graceland, which became, I sort of rediscovered years later when I was 16. And it's just such a road trip album anyway, that like I rediscovered it. And we were on another holiday then, and I was like, get it on in the car. And that's probably still my favorite album if I had to pick one. And just all kinds. I remember he had like a compilation on called Blues Brother Soul Sister. Again, totally different thing, but that was all Etta James, Aretha Franklin, and just stuff that we would all sit in the back of the car and sing along to. And he's not musical at all, apart from he will sing everywhere around the house. And so I often wonder how good he might have been if my dad had a go. And my mum is musical, really. She was in choirs and still is, and just loved it as a kid. And ultimately, I think was the one who was just so encouraging of us kids. We all had a bit of piano lessons. We all had a bit of guitar lessons, and I stuck with both of them. So yeah, hugely grateful to the pair of them, and yeah, they both had pretty cool taste.
Yeah, that's good. Like I grew up listening to my dad's 8-track in the car, Ford Capri. Yeah, I my musical like roots come from like my mum, Elvis and the Beatles, and then my dad's Black Sabbath, Deep Purple. So I had the rock and roll and then the rocker.
Yeah.
I and soul as well. So, but most of my early stuff is the jam. Just love Paul Weller. Just love how he wrote about everyday life that I could relate to. So when was the first time you actually like really started like picking up the guitar and playing piano, which I think is great, by the way, because I think all kids kind of need that in life is music, because music for me, I've got to listen to it every single day. It just puts me in a, if I'm sad, I listen to, music that will just kind of bring me out of it, or you listen to music as, meaningful lyrics. That for kids, I think instead of just going for like guitar or piano, I think they need to do a bit of both.
Yeah, or at least just whatever might stick. Yeah, and I think my mum would have given me drum lessons and flute lessons if I'd wanted them. Just it was like, I think she'd said to me before, like, that she wishes she'd been able to sort of see what her potential was as a singer, because she did like she performed, she did like I guess a bit of musical theatre. I've still got a tape of her somewhere on Jesus Christ Superstar. I haven't listened to it ever. One day I will, though, you know what I mean? She's singing on that tape. So I think she was like, I didn't get the chance to get lessons, and she probably didn't get a lot of encouragement. So she was determined to give it to us. And so I'm so grateful for it that it was as early as it was, because I guess I was about 9. In fact, I was even younger for piano, probably about 7 piano. And about 9, I started doing classical guitar. And it was just what I did then. It was just, it's Monday night, so off we go. I didn't really think about it. I didn't practice much, but I turned up, and I obviously had some degree of natural ability there where I was picking things up fast. But then I think I was about 16 when you're so into music and you're going through a lot of hormonal changes and life's really exciting, that you really get into music. And for me at that time, it was probably like early Coldplay and like but I also had mates in school who were into the Chili Peppers. So again, like weird mix of things, and I went with all of it. When that happened, I was like, I had this. I felt, well, I'm armed with this ability. I can already play Oasis songs for a laugh. You know, I'm good. I can do the songs easy. So I felt so good then about like what I had to offer, and was from about 15 was trying to write songs. You know, I was like, I can do this. So yeah, like I said, so grateful that for the lessons and the encouragement for those years where if I'd have said, Mum, I don't want to go anymore, it would have been over. But I just plodded through for a few years as a young child, and then was able to kick on when I loved music at 16, 17, and I really kicked on with it.
Where does, like, you know, a 15-year-old or 16-year-old, what do you write about? Like, you know, because, you know, usually pop stars just absolutely, well, they probably don't even write their own songs, but they just sing about drivel, you know. That, I mean, I know you're a you know, obviously massive like Beatles and Bob Dylan. Where you know, what kind of, you look at the stuff you do today, and then you go back when you're 15, 16. What were you writing about back then?
Drivel. But I mean, yeah, it took me a long time because I was never dedicated or disciplined. That came much later. I would have bursts of like for a summer at a time, like 2006, for example. I remember sitting in the attic every night and thinking, oh, the songs are coming, but I never applied myself to it properly enough to get good. And honestly, even though I dabbled for so long, I don't think I wrote a really good one until I was about 28, 29. Because I would write something and then just spend too long with that one song. Like right now I've got to go to Parr Street and record it and like save money. And I never gave it enough momentum to improve. And I think I always was probably like maybe a better lyricist than like other 15-year-olds, but it was just drivel and it was just angsty breakup, sexual frustration, from start to finish. Basically, please be my girlfriend, whoever you are out there. And but I think maybe Morrissey was a good one where, like, again, I think the Smiths are a great band for like 16, 17 years of age. All that angst and all that dance floor kind of vibe. And I think he was an amazing one for me, and still is, because I just love trying to be a smart ass and trying to literally have little punchlines in there. I just want to be, it's not in every song, but I want to be funny, I think. And it's in more of my songs than I realize sometimes. It's a setup and punchline, you know, and Morrissey, obviously self-deprecating as well. That's still all over my stuff. It's a way of me getting out a lot of frustration about my own self. Too much, again, for a long time for a lot of people. Like, if you don't like sad music or depressing music, I remember like some people would wind me up about that in the early days. You know, like, God, are you ever gonna, you know, cheer up? But anyway, sorry, rambling on.
Well, that's the thing, though. I mean, you write from the heart. You know, not everyone's happy, you know, within themselves. But, you know, maybe, you know, obviously, you know, I'm a big Morrissey fan as well. But, you know, he can't take himself too seriously. When he's, you know, got a bunch of flowers he's dancing around with. But Johnny Marr for me was like the top dog for the Smiths. Like, even though Morrissey was, you know, front and center, Johnny Marr, like on the guitar, you know, just the sound sounds that came from his guitar was just brilliant. And then also big for me, obviously, is Echo and the Bunnymen. Ian, another brilliant songwriter, him and Will Sargent.
Yeah, I've got to delve more with the Bunnymen. I never have really like given them a proper go. I've seen them live, funnily enough, Primavera Festival, Barcelona. But yeah, still not a huge fan. It's on my list.
But just Ian also, like, his tongue in cheek as well. You know, he doesn't do many interviews, but when he does, you know, he says how he feels, but he's also tongue in cheek, and that's what I love. You know, again, you know, we all know Oasis are back together. I'm a big Oasis fan. I am. I just it's what was needed back then. Just good old rock and roll, you know. And Liam is probably one of the best frontmen. You know, people all say, you know, his voice is gone. I think it sounded better in the last 2 years than it has in the last like 10. I'm looking forward to you know, hopefully that they're going to be over in the States. Hopefully I get to.
I bet they are. Yeah.
It was
Did
just.
you see him back in the day?
I did quite a few times. I mean, and they just blew me away. It's just rock and roll. That's all it is. There's not like pyrotechnics going off, fireworks and all this crap going off, you know, to visuals to kind of get you away from what's actually being sung. You know, it was just them on a stage, you know, turning, kind of doing the Spinal Tap thing, turning it to 11 and just as loud as possible. And I miss those days, you know, the Blur, the Oasis, the Pulps, this world, you know, as you know, being in the business, it's kind of who you know, it's kind of, it's brands now, you know. Are you a profitable brand that we sell, which is horrible, you know. I love music because it comes from the heart, not because you've got a you know, pound note on you. You know, the way you dress or the way you look, you know, it just does my head in, you know, that there's a lot of fakeness out there, especially, you know, in this business. And there's a lot of great musicians that aren't getting signed or aren't getting their just, you know, dessert because they're not pretty enough or they don't sing the right songs, you know, happy go lucky. I mean, for you, you know, obviously you've been in the business a while and, you know, you're still doing what you do. How is your take on the music business? Obviously record shops, you know, don't sell the vinyl as much as, you know, they used to. And now, you know, profits for record labels basically go to the record label, and artist gets what, a penny. You know, it's disgusting. That's why I love Bandcamp, because you know, they do the artist Fridays where they get 100% of the profits. What's your, you know, being in it for a while?
Well, I'm not in the business or in the industry at all. I used to beat myself up for my lack of, I suppose you'd say, lack of drive. I've always done what counts to me, which is trying to improve, trying to write and trying to record and trying to go out and play it. And I could definitely have done with more putting that time aside to build the audience, however that may be, whether it was getting signed or getting help or just devoting more of my time to playing the game now, however it may be, on socials, trying to do funny videos, whatever. But I've maybe sort of made peace with, like, I just don't think I'm going to do it. But it's a strange life because I've just spent all my money on my third album and I think it's fantastic. and I'm definitely going to get it on vinyl for me, just to say I finally did it. But there's no release strategy there. There's no campaign ready. There's no plan. I don't know what I'm going to do. The band is amazing. So there are going to be band shows, I can't wait, but it's all on me. I'm all alone. So I suppose you get weary with even beginning that bit. My happiest of all is writing the thing and just being the real deal, and honestly, it sounds arrogant, but yeah, I think I'm as real as it comes because I'm living like a songwriter. I just want to search for more all the time, and I think we've made a good one. I still just feel like I don't really have a following. There's so much housekeeping needs doing, my social, my Facebook, my Instagram. I'm not really on TikTok. It's just dormant. I don't have I've got like a mailing list set up. I've never used it. So I take responsibility for all this stuff. But it is kind of sad to allude to what you were saying, that it's all on the individual. And but at the same time, in recent weeks, I've been thinking, you're mad to do it now. You're mad to spend your money on it. But I'm sort of proud of that, because you must be in it for the right reasons if you're doing it. And I'm actually a little bit sick of a lot of musicians moaning, a lot of musicians saying I'm skint. And I kind of think, well, yeah, that's because you need a second job. And I still work in a cafe on Lark Lane, and that's the time that we're in. If you're doing it, you better love it, because you're mad to do it for a career. You're probably not going to get one. So I'm kind of proud to be doing it now, just because it's who I am. And the thing about the second job as well is, I went full-time music for about 18 months not so long ago, and just tried to do gigs, host open mics, and I wasn't happy. I lost all my routine, all my discipline. I couldn't be my own boss well enough. So I had to go back to cafe and pick up some shifts. And since then, I've been happier about it than I ever was. I don't beat myself up. I don't say, you're over 30, what are you doing working here? I love it. It's actually my social life in a way, is like being in there and talking to people. And I have a really nice balance at the moment with doing covers in bars, working in the cafe, and trying to be a songwriter. And that's my life. And so the state of the music industry, I'm frightened to even get into it, start trying harder. But I do still feel a sense of, I can't just toss this one away. The second album came out last year, and I just did a launch that nobody really came to, and it just went on Spotify, and that's it. And nobody really knows it exists. And I think they're great songs as well. So there is a sense of what might be, what might have been. We all think we're great, but I do feel like I don't want to be a well-kept secret. I want that audience to be big. So there is a sense, as usual, with this third album coming up, of I've got to do more. I've got to find the time to push, or to get help, or to get signed, and to get better gigs, and finally start, being the real deal in terms of having a tour that people are actually coming to, and all that. And the dream has always been the same, which is, put gigs on and sell them out. So you never know, one day.
Well, I think that's what a lot of people, think when you see musicians, and I've had loads on, and a lot of them all have other jobs.
Mm-hmm.
While the public think musicians are 24/7, 365 days a year a musician,
Mm-hmm.
They don't have another job. I'm like, well, it doesn't pay the bills.
No. Some fellas up, and some people will play 5-6 nights a week, mm-hmm. which will pay your bills, but I'm almost frightened to live that life. I think that I might start hating it. Do you know what I mean? So like I said about balance, I'll do 3-4 shifts a week. I'll do 2 or 3 gigs a week. Seems to be working just about, and I appreciate the gigs. I love them. I'm so grateful for them, even after like a 10-hour shift. You can definitely do it full time, but I didn't enjoy that pressure of I can't turn a single thing down, and I'm going to knacker my voice, and so yeah, most of us, I would say, need that supplemental income.
Is this going to be your first vinyl release?
Yeah.
See, that's amazing to me, because like vinyl to me, you know, I DJ, but obviously times have changed, technology's changed. It's much easier when you're gigging to take a USB stick and plug it in the CDJs rather than take a box of records and like hurt your back. But there's nothing like vinyl. I'm like a vinyl addict, because I'm more about the whole package, which is the artwork, what's gone into it, and then, you know, the cellophane, ripping it open, and the smell of brand new vinyl.
Yeah.
But I mean, for yourself, like, it's just got to make you so proud, you know, that to have your own piece of your history, you know, a piece of vinyl. CD, a little bit different, you know, you can barely see the words.
Yeah.
Vinyl, especially, just open it up and you're just like, good God, this is mine. So that's got to make you so proud.
I hope so. And I'll go back and do the first 2 albums one day. I hope. Maybe it's just a money thing. You spend it all on the recording, and then I feel like I'm just tapped out and I can't face the idea of doing it, which is stupid, because you are going to sell your vinyls at the gigs. You know, you are going to make that money back. So I will do it. I hope I do it for all 3. Yeah, I've never been much of a collector guy, because I just don't have a turntable and stuff. But even with CDs, that's my memory of listening to music, was sat on the bed, opening it and flicking through it. I'd say even better with vinyl, amazing with vinyl, that big artwork. So I would have been even more into music if I'd been listening to records. My dad had some. I remember my dad had Elton John, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, which is a great album, and I remember listening to that on vinyl in the house. But yeah, physical copy was dead important. Not because obviously you had to do that when I was a kid, but I do think it's a shame sometimes that the way things changed the way they did, and now it's all just. I mean, everything's there, but I mean, I get overwhelmed about what to pick on Spotify. Do you know what I mean? And I'm supposed to be a musician, but it's hard for me to listen to someone's album all the way through, and I'm ashamed of that. But yeah, times have changed. Again, you're crazy to do it. I'm crazy to expect someone's going to listen to my whole album when I struggle to do that for anyone as well. You know, why should I get that courtesy when you know, my attention span is as buggered as the next fella? But
well, it's the same. It's the same with podcasts, mate.
Yeah.
You know, I get some people messaging me telling me like some of the story ones are just too long.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand, you know, some of them have been 2 hours, but they've been absolutely amazing conversation. But I always tell people, you can press pause and come back. It's not like, you know, Mission Impossible, where it self-destructs as soon as you've listened to it. But I'm with you. I think the last time I probably listened to a whole album is years ago.
Mm-hmm.
This is always something I've not, you know. As a kid, I used to always put the vinyl on and listen to both sides, like, you know, and then go about my business. Now, again, with life and children and everything, you know, if I do get something new, I'll listen to 4 or 5, and then something else will come up. And you know, I really don't like that, because I'm sure the artist is hoping you'll sit down and you'll listen, because obviously when you're writing these songs. It's like a storyline from the first one to the last one, and you want the listener to kind of go through the motions of what you've gone through writing these songs. So I totally understand that. But yeah, again, we live in like an attention span world of about 2 minutes.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
why TikTok's so big. It's
yeah.
because it's less than 2 minute videos where you go, "Oh, that was funny," or "I can't believe he did that," or "She did that," and okay, what's next?
Next one. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
sad. It's
yeah.
sad, but
It's crazy to do it, But if there's 10 people who listen to the whole thing and say, I did it, I sat with it, I loved it, it's probably worth it. It's
oh,
probably going
100%.
to be worth it. Yeah.
100%. I mean, I don't do this podcast for money. I do it because I enjoy the conversations, and hopefully the guests enjoy it as well. And like, uh, it's just when you get complimented on what you've written, it means the world to you. Just like if somebody just sends me a quick, like, that was a boss episode,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
means the world to me. I'm like, I'm doing something right,
Yeah.
in the world. I mean, you know how the world is right now. You turn on the telly, there's just despair all over the place. And like, that's why music's a big part of my life, because it takes me away from that. I don't need to turn on the telly anymore I just don't need that kind of stuff in my life. And the only reason why I've got social media is the podcast.
Yeah.
Put it out there. If I wanted to be beaten down by a keyboard warrior every day, yeah, I'd have a few issues. I'd probably start writing some songs as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
But before we go, I always ask. I want your opinion on our new manager Slot. I'm kind of, what's your expectations for this season?
I mean, what can you say? What is it? 9 out of 10 wins, all comps. Nobody expected that. So my expectations are probably already getting giddy, and I just hope they stick in there. And things like Rodri getting injured for City feel quite significant. And I could be wrong. I feel like a lot of people are playing it down, and we're probably right to say top four. Let's make sure a top four. But obviously, like every season, I am definitely daring to dream. And yeah, fantastic start. He seems to have tightened up the defence, and well, you just got to say we'll win the league. What else are we going to sit here and say? Yeah, and I'm not bothered about anything else. Like I said, I still want that league. I want that league when there isn't a pandemic on.
Well,
maybe some party. Yeah.
Well, it will, and plus, like, I'm just tired of hearing, like, where there's an asterisk by not from us, obviously from other team
Yeah.
supporters going, you won the COVID title, and I've had this argument over and over again. I'm like, we're 25 points clear in March, right? And we still won the league by 18 points, so we could have lost every game and still won the league.
Exactly.
But, people want to beat us down because of that, and because we couldn't, celebrate. But yeah, I'm going to take it as is. I'm glad Klopp left us where in a good spot. I look back to United days, and Fergie didn't leave United in a very good way. I think Klopp stayed as long as he could, till he ran out of everything. But he left us in a good spot, and I think we've started really well. Hopefully, I think the October-November period looked pretty like hectic. Every 3-4 days there's a huge match to play. But I think we'll see where we're at. Like, Christmas time, and then go
Yeah,
from.
hopefully get a bit of luck with injuries. I think you're always going to need that.
That's the thing is, if we can keep Grav fit, if we can keep, well, Jota had a little bit of a knock, but even Chiesa, you know, he's taken a knock, but it doesn't look that bad. But if we can keep 99% fit, that's what it is about winning the league. You've got to have luck. Officiating's got to kind of go your way. The injuries got to go your way. Yeah, Rodri's massive for City. Now, if maybe Rice could kind of do it for Arsenal, maybe get a little bit of an injury here and there. Nah, I wouldn't wish that upon anyone. I love Rodri. I think he's probably the best DM in world football. But yeah, you just have to have luck. Now, my last question for you is ultimate festival lineup for a Friday, Saturday, Sunday night, and you can be alive or dead.
Okay. So am I picking three bands, three headliners?
Yeah.
Okay. I will go Oasis, because I've seen Noel, but I never saw them together. But I'm going for 94 Oasis. I'd go Bob Dylan. I don't know if I could do this. You said alive or dead, but can I pick the era?
Yeah. No, that's better. Yeah, because 94 Oasis were.
Yeah, so I'd go Saturday night, Bob Dylan, 1976, the Rolling Thunder review days with the face paint, which is his mind-blowing best live I think you can find out there. There's so many different kinds of Dylan, but the energy he had, the way he barked but sang simultaneously, and the quality of that band, and so on and so on. And I suppose Sunday night, a toss-up between the Beatles and Paul Simon. But I have seen Paul a few times. So I've probably got to go with the boys on the Sunday night. And I don't know, they stopped touring, but Sgt. Pepper's is my favourite album. So maybe since I'm getting all my own way, they can find out a way to do Sgt. Pepper's live on Sunday.
Oh, that'd be brilliant, that. Well, John, it's been an absolute pleasure. Where can people find your music?
Spotify. I think I'm on a lot of streamable stuff. I don't know for sure. I have got the first album to sell on Bandcamp on CDs, so I'm not totally useless. You can still buy that one on Bandcamp. And I don't know, I guess I still hope the best is to come. So just give us a follow on Instagram, and all will be revealed with the third album. But it feels like such a step up to me. I've recorded it with great people, and it feels really special. So, like I said, there will be gigs. I've just got to do it all because there's only me at the wheel.
Well, I wish you all the best. I really, really do. And I've, checked a lot of your songs out on YouTube. That's a big reason why I wanted you on here.
Thanks, Daz. I'll send you the new mixes as well.
Oh, I'd love that, mate. Yeah, 100%. It's just, I again with the podcast. I started out just pretty much all football. And then, me and the missus kind of sat down 6-7 months ago. We're like, you love your music so much. What about a football and music episode? And it's kind of rekindled me love, because a lot of musicians, when they do these interviews, they're always just talking about music. And you don't really get to know the musician. And there's so many musicians that I I didn't know are football supporters and Liverpool supporters.
Yeah.
That are not Scousers, that the London lads or the Scottish, and I'm like, I had no idea. So it's opened up a whole new world for me, and it's kind of reinvigorated my love for football as well. 'Cause
Mhm.
for a while I fell out, out of love with football just because of the greed and the way the game's going. But now with this, it's just like it's a match made in heaven. So but I wish you all the best. I'll put a link to your Bandcamp, and make sure people please go check out John's music. Definitely, fantastic singer songwriter. So please do that. As always, please like, subscribe, put your notifications on, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Daz.